Hey, it's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of the syndicated talk show, People of Distinction. The talk that gives you an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, alcoleenterprises.com, for more info. Email me through benji@alcoleenterprises.com if you'd like to get involved with what we have going. And as always, please continue to like and follow our broadcasts. People of Distinction is internationally syndicated solely due to the love and support that you all continue to give. We're available across all major distributors, and as long as you keep following, we're going to continue to put out the content. Now sit back and strap in, because on the line with us today, we have the impressive Dr. Marion P. Myers. And we're going to be discussing her amazing book, Never That, Belly Up and Bully Down. Available for purchase through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and a whole host of other places. You're going to want to check this book out. But while you're at it, listen, people, I'm about to list you some things that are remarkably impressive because Dr. Myers has put in some work. Now, Never That, Belly Up, and Bully Down is a series of books. So first and foremost, in that Never That series, there are 3 others. But that's not all. In addition to those 4 books, altogether, she's written 8 books total, and hopefully many, many more on the horizon. But that's not all. It just keeps going. In addition to those 8 books that she's written, one of those books is developed into a television series. Now, that one is called Cycles. You're going to want to check them all out, man, because I'm telling you, Dr. Myers is onto some things, and these books are remarkably educational, not only for the children, but also for those parents and those teachers alike that choose to take advantage of them. So one more time, the one on discussion for today, Never That, Belly Up, and Bully Down. And before we go any further, I want to take this opportunity and point out the fact that Dr. Myers was brought to our network by Author Reputation Press. So for my writers out there listening in right now, if you've gone through your process and now you need help moving the book you developed, contact ARP, because this is exactly what they specialize in, and this is exactly what their team is going to help you do. Head on over to authorreputationpress.com and gather all the ways that they're going to help you do just that. People, let me ask you a question. I want to pose something to you here. Imagine a world where every child has the tools, right? They're equipped to stand up to bullying, embrace kindness, and build meaningful connections. That is the power of this story. That is the power of this series and so much more. So the one we're discussing today, the Never That, Belly Up and Bully Down, is going to tackle that. But the Never That series is filled with remarkable, captivating fictional tales that not only entertain, but also equip teachers, parents, and children alike with the skills to recognize and correct negative behavior. So whether you're an educator listening in right now, you're a parent, or you're simply someone who cares about shaping the next generation, which each and every one of us have a responsibility to do, these books are your key to fostering empathy, resilience, and social awareness in our children. I'm going to use the cliche of the children are our future, but people, it's so true. And if we start them young, if we train them properly, imagine the world we'll be able to see coming to fruition tomorrow. I'm telling you, man, Dr. Myers is an embodiment of a person of distinction, and her books are a testament to what we can do if we really start to buckle down and hone our focus on the correct things. Strap in, have your notebooks ready. Dr. Myers, first and foremost, welcome to People of Distinction, and thank you very much for being a guest. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. Thank you so much for having me. This is a wonderful opportunity to be on your great show. I appreciate this opportunity.
Well, listen, I appreciate you being a guest here, Dr. Myers. We wouldn't have been able to invite you unless you did your part in creating these magnificent books. So thank you for taking the time to do so. Before we go into the books, start off by telling us a little bit more about your background, please.
Okay, well, I'm the youngest of 5 children. I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and my parents were teachers, they're educators. They passed on now, but I come from a line of teachers. One of my brothers is a teacher, and my sister is, and my other 2 brothers, they did something else, but my aunt was a teacher, my cousin, and since I was a child, I always wanted to be a teacher. So I said I want to be a dedicated fifth grade teacher, and I've taught all levels. I've taught elementary, middle, high school, as well as the college level. And so I just know that when we get our education, we can go anywhere from there. Nobody can take that from us. So I'm very interested in really nurturing our children to, get to their skills. And it's a will and a skill thing. You have the will to want the skill. And so my mom and dad taught all five of us that. And that's why I'm carrying on now.
Love that. Well, first and foremost, Dr. Myers, I'm going to congratulate you to start with the work that you have done and the work that you will continue to do, helping shape and develop the minds of future generations, because it really is something that I don't think is recognized nearly enough. When it comes to the educators that we have in this country, they don't get nearly enough credit, and they damn sure don't get paid enough for the amount of work that they have to do. Man, I had a very brief stint in education myself. I taught college during my master's program, and then I taught fourth graders for a few years after. And just between you and I, Dr. Myers, I always enjoyed teaching the fourth graders much, much more than I enjoyed teaching the college students. But that's for another discussion. But honestly, man, the main thing here is the amount of hats that educators have to wear. I don't care. You may be hired to teach history, to teach science, whatever it is, but at any given moment, you're going to need to be a referee. You're going to need to be a counselor. You're going to need to be a whole host of things. And it gets overlooked. So thank you very much for the amazing work that you and all of your educators continue to do, because it's recognized here is what I'm trying to say.
A lot of our kids are distracted by, I do like technology. I embrace it, but there has to be a balance. And sometimes they just get overwhelmed with technology and not using their own good brains. I told them, I said, you have a good brain. God gave us the brain first. You're smarter than the computer will ever be.
Yeah.
So that really, pushes me too, to show them that they have skills. Don't depend on the AI so much. And it was, all that's important and it's good to help us, but we need to use our good brain that God has blessed us with, because we're all creative and we all have skills. We just have to nurture those skills and, get them developed.
Exactly. Well, without further ado, Dr. Myers, Never That, Belly Up and Bully Down. Tell us more about this fantastic book.
Let me tell you, it changed from my children are grown and I'm raising my grandson. He's 16 now, but I've had him since I was a baby. He was a baby, but he comes to my daughter, his mother. Every time we would go out with my other children and we would go out shopping, some would pick out, what you want that dress? Never that, never that. That was the phrase, never that. She didn't like something or disagree with you. She said, never that. I said, you know what? I'm going to write a book series about that. So that's why I came with the title, Never That, because that was one of my daughter. That was my daughter. I had a son and a daughter. Mm-hmm. That was my daughter's favorite, saying, never that. If she didn't like what you said or like a pair of shoes you picked up for her, or but we're going to fix that for dinner at that time, never that. And so I began to write the book, Never That, and it's based on a family. Miss Corbett is a single parent now because her husband died in the line of duty. He was a top detective, and she's raising her son and her daughter, Dwayne and Alicia. And Dwayne is 14, and Alicia is 10. And so it goes through the challenges of, where they go through school and at home. And each book, I focus on different character education traits. And this book, Never That, Belly Up, Belly Down, my book is basically focused on good manners, positive attitude, obedience, self-discipline, respect, and responsibility, as well as consideration of others. And so all this book focuses on that, but the other books focus on other different, character education traits. And I had so much fun writing it because I'm telling scenarios about what I learned, what I witnessed personally as my own, in my own life, as well as with some of the students I've taught and my own children and grandchildren. So it's really, I just, change some things around, but it's really a realistic fiction book as these things happen. And, Belly Up, Bully Down is about bullies, and our kids are really confronted now with bullying more and more. Now with cyberbullying, of course, unfortunately, that's really coming up. Mm-hmm. So it talks about how to deal with bullies and how to stand for yourself and walk away with self-discipline and respect and don't stoop to that level. So I'm excited about it because we need bullying to be addressed. We really need this because more and more kids are being bullied. It's getting worse now with all the social media outlets.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, I think that is a great point in terms of what your book and your books, because of course, Never That, as I mentioned, is a series. So there's teaching all throughout. And I get it. Listen, as an educator, And also as a parent myself, whether you're in the classroom or you're out, the education never stops, right? So you're always there to implement that. Well, we know that the books are meant to help children recognize and correct bad behavior. My curiosity now, how, when you were designing the book, when you were constructing the book, how did you design the story to subtly guide children? And I think that's important. It's subtle because you don't want to become overly aggressive with this. So how did you subtly guide children toward understanding the consequences of their actions without, as I mentioned, becoming overly didactic?
Yes. Well, I would give them a case scenario about maybe what something happened to me, and children are really, I tell you, they're really, really honed in when you give them your view of things, when you tell them about your experiences. So I would tell them, wait a minute, let's watch this for a minute. Let me say what happened to me or one of my relatives or a friend of mine. And, I would ask them, okay, what do you think would happen to them? What do you think they did? And that way would hone them in to say, yeah, I don't want to try it like that. I don't want to do that. So I would give them a lot of my own case scenarios, make it very applicable and relatable to what they're dealing with. Mm-hmm. Except maybe, it may not be the same person, of course, but it was something they could relate to. And I'm really finding out that, sir, that our children and people, period, they want real life application. How do they put this thing in real action? And so I always would give them my scenario about things and tell them the consequence. Now, you want this side or that side, the advantages of doing this or the disadvantages of doing that. So I would always give them, I'd walk them through it. And, as a teacher, like you said, we're counselors, we're teachers. We, the kids cry on our shoulders. They come and say, oh, what's going on? So we're everything. Like you said, we wear all the hats. I mean, and we're parents, too, while we're there. We're part of their parents. So we have them, 6-7 hours a day. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we're there to nurture them. So I would always use a scenario about what happened. And sometimes current events, we talk about that, and that would relate to that particular incident that happened in school. So you saw what happened to this person, that person in this city or that state or that country. And sometimes they don't listen to the news. I would pull it up on our Promethean board and show it and say, look what happened. And you're doing the same thing. So I try to really bring in real life application. And that really got their attention. And that's what guided me to my children's series book and every that, because this is the kind of technique I use, my kind of little psychology my mom used to say that I used with a lot of the incidents we had to, kind of squash before they got too big and out of hand.
People, again, it's Amazon, it's Barnes & Noble. The book is called Never That, Belly Up and Bully Down. But make sure to check out all of the others, because when I tell you Dr. Myers has a canon, man, Dr. Myers has a canon of work. There are 8 books total, 3 more in the Never That series. But in addition, remember that book cycles. Not only is it a book, but it also is a television series. So you're going to be able to get another layer of information and get it through a different medium. Sometimes reading isn't for everyone. Well, visual learners are going to be able to take advantage of that as well. So look into everything that she has in store. Dr. Myers, I want to approach things now from a different perspective, because so far we have discussed, again, especially with regards to this book, since we're talking about bullying, we're talking from the perspective of the individuals getting bullied. Now, we also understand that sometimes if there's someone being bullied, then there has to be someone doing the bullying. Well, let's examine things from that perspective here, because I do think it's important. Listen, I'm the youngest of 6. So there wasn't much bullying that I was doing, but I was getting bullied a lot, I tell you that much, growing up. But that's neither here nor there. We're past it. We're all adults now. And just between you and I, I'm bigger than all of them anyway now, so they can't bully me anymore. But when we talk about the person doing the bullying, how do we address this? Because you want to make sure that just because a child is bullying another doesn't make them a bad child. Now, they're doing bad behavior, right? So we want to address it, but we don't want them feeling shamed or even attacked, because that can then be counterintuitive. So how does your book address navigating those turbulent waters to correct that behavior?
Well, my book talks about, addresses how the person bullied, why they did the bullying. They wanted to be accepted. They thought they were being left out, and they thought that people thought that they were better than them. So we address that to realize that, look, you're just as good as anybody else. Be proud. Don't, take your insecurities out on someone else. So you're exactly right. The bully is very important. It's like the one who's being bullied. And we address the bully in this Never That book, and all of them. We looked at, their perspective, where they're coming from, and find out, why they're acting this way, what's going on. And sometimes it could be, something that happened in the family. Sometimes it could be something that they didn't get and they wanted, and it could be just feeling bad, because kids do have, they're very emotional. I mean, people are, and so they come to school with a lot of baggage. So we, in the book, I address the baggage that the bully comes in with, and basically he just wanted to be part of the game, he felt that he was being left out. He thought that Dwayne and Jonathan and their bunch was leaving him out, and he said no. They said no, you can be a part. So they began to make friends and get better at the end of the book. I mean, they got together, we talked it out. They talked it out with the principal, with their parents, and they were able to come to a good agreement. And he apologized for bullying. And he said he just wanted to be known and wanted to make people say, look at me. So it's always good to address the bully, because that bully has something going on while they're bullying, And you're right, they're not bad kids. They just want attention. They're trying to get somebody help me, And so we always address the bully and the bully. Yeah, it has to be addressing both of them, because, you have to find out why they're bullying and then try to solve that problem.
Yeah. Dr. Myers, as we begin closing out here, now let's shift perspectives and let's talk about it from the adult side of things. For educators out there listening in, for parents out there listening in, what type of exercises or examples are used within the stories that you've constructed to allow them to now enter and engage with the children as well, so that they have a part to play in this process as well?
Right. Well, I have some instructions, like pre-reading activities. It's always good to have a pre-reading activity where you talk about the topic. I have a graphic organizer, some very pointed questions in all my books, where the teacher or the parent can talk about whatever that, in this case, bullying. What is bullying? Why do people bully each other? And what can you do about it? And the graphic organizer addresses when people get bullied, why they get bullied, how they get bullied. It might be from the phone, a social media app. It might be, picking each other at school, whatever it might be. So the pre-reading activities I have really help prepare the parent and the teacher to read this book and really get a lot out of it in terms of we go over here vocabulary, have a list of vocabulary words we use. This is the graphic organizer, and we talk about the topic of bullying. Do you know what bullying is? How would you describe bullying? Have you ever been bullied? Do you know any bullies? And so when we do that first, we can really dive into the book and get the whole gist and the crux of the book once we do before we do the pre-reading activities with the parent or teacher. So I have that lined out in the book too. They can make copies of the graphic organizer and the vocabulary words and the questions that would help steer this book, so they can really get the best out of it. And that's in all my Never That series books. I have pre-reading activities for both the parent and the teacher.
Closing out here now, my final question for you, Dr. Myers, you have a lot to offer through your work. Well, let's focus. I want to talk to you about Cycles a little bit, and primarily the television series. Talk to our listening audience a little bit more about Cycles, where they're able to access it, and what they're going to be greeted with once they do.
Okay, well, I tell you, I'm so excited you mentioned that. Well, Cycles is based on my first book I wrote. It took me 10 years to write that book. 10. I wrote it, put it down. Raising kids and everything, working and all that. I finally got that book finished after 10 years that I started the other one, but thank God for that. But yes, Cycles, we started filming in March of 2015. I got a call from Dr. Tobin out of Preach the Word Worldwide Network, and she said, look, once you finish, she said, you have a book to do the series? I said, yeah. She said, I saw her on the internet, and I just did an inquiry, and I told her that I had a book that I wanted to do television series with, and she gave me the opportunity, so we started filming the different scenes, and she gave us some of the venues. But I was doing all the writing, I was doing all the venues where we were going to do the actual scene. And thank God for our church, they let us do some filming there. They filmed at my house and other people's houses in different places, and nobody's gotten paid yet. I've been paying out of my teacher salary, some of that to the videographer, but these are people who believe in the vision, and they've been working with us, and we believe in God to get on a major network. But I thank God for the group of talented, great actors and actresses that we have who are working with us. And we have Mr. Breland production company with Mr. Chris and Ms. Demi Johnson. They have helped me with the productions for the last 2-3 years now, and he helps me write, because I said I need somebody to help me write, because I was doing all of it, so he helps me write the episodes now. And you can see we have a Cycles YouTube station, YouTube at cyclestv.com. You can catch our series, some of our episodes there. And we just completed a feature movie called Life Cycles. And so we're putting that in some of the film festivals. We won so many awards last year for Cycles on TV series. But, yeah, we just believe in God, sir, for, to get a good network contract, because we've been, really believe in this. And Cycles is about life. It's about, it's based on there's a time for everything under the heavens, and cycles of love, hate, war, peace. And we always ask people, what cycle are you going in right now? Because all of us go through cycles, and so that's what Cycles is about. And the title of the book, Cycles, I'm Still Here, really it perpetuates that. Even though I've gone through this cycle, that cycle, the bad ones, I'm still here. I'm still here throughout the different cycles I've gone through. The bad ones, God has blessed me to be here to enjoy the good ones, because we go through good cycles and bad cycles. So that's what it's about. It's about the Missouri family and all their ins and outs of life. And it's an exciting story. We have a lot of interesting storylines. It's a multi-diverse cast, and as well as not just ethnicities, but also age ranges. So we got something there for everybody. For the kids, teenagers, young adults, and older adults.
There you have it. People, listen, get involved or you're going to get passed by. One last time, it's called Never That, Belly Up and Bully Down. There are 3 others in the Never That series, 8 titles altogether, and of course, we just finished discussing her television series called Cycles. There's a lot to get involved with. You know where to go. Dr. Myers, this has been a true pleasure, an absolute delight. Thank you once again for being a guest on People of Distinction.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.